Evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Living in Utah live question and answer session here on Thursday evening. I tried to hold this every Thursday evening. I did miss last week, but back today. It's an opportunity. You're welcome to post whatever questions you would like, and I will do my very best in answering them, and we'll see what's going on in the state of Utah and see what kind of conversation we can get going on tonight. So if you're new to the channel, you may consider subscribing. And I'm actually saying that for Steve. I know you're watching, Steve. We've talked about it a few times, and it's a joke that we have, but I know, Steve, you need to hit that subscribe button. Well, in the state of Utah this week, it has been very mild temperatures. We are seeing in northern Utah 50-degree days. Unusual for February by most standards. Normally it's a lot colder. Normally we have snow, or we see snow. It's been a very dry February. Very, very dry. We're supposed to get a storm next week, but I don't know. I've enjoyed this week. I really, really have. I got some friends. We call it doing the double, and that's how the text messages go. This week we managed to ski in the morning and golf in the afternoon. So normally we do that in like March timeframe, maybe April if we still got some snow. Not normally in February, because most February's the golf courses still have snow on them, but not this year. So got some friends that we joke about it, and we call it doing the double. So we went yesterday and we skied in the morning and we golfed in the afternoon, just 9 holes in the afternoon, had some lunch. Fantastic. Absolute blast. Time of my life. Great. It was good fun. So that's kind of what's happening in Utah. We are, over the years here, I've seen more and more mild winters. I remember 20 plus years ago, we would get so much snow that if you had a flat roof or a roof with a low pitch, people were up there with a shovel, sometimes their snow blower, because they're afraid the snow piling up and it might cave in. And I can remember like local car dealerships would run out of room to park cars. So they would call construction companies with some dump trucks, and they would haul the snow away from the big mounds that they had piled up. Even some of the malls would do that. They would make these piles of snow and reduced parking, and they would haul it off. Haven't seen that in many, many years. It's winters are not how they used to be. Don't know if it's a thing of climate change or just the way the weather patterns are particularly going lately. But in the news for Utah's got money. State of Utah has money, which when you consider going through the pandemic and a lot of the relief that they gave, and the state of Utah took in less money, especially the first year of the pandemic. For a while there, they had the national park shut down, so revenue was dipping. Revenue was dipping from all over. Gas tax revenue went down. As you know, people drove a little less during the pandemic, at least during the start of the pandemic. This last year is more normalcy. But the state has money. So they have approved a $200 million tax cut for the state of Utah. Tax cut. They are going to lower the income tax rate that we pay. We have a flat tax income tax rate. So you still get deductions. You can deduct your dependents and stuff like that. But the rate is 4.95%, and they are going to lower that to 4.85% with some of the money. They're also going to add to the earned income tax credit and some Social Security tax cuts are also being targeted. So I don't know if it has received the full approval vote, but it's looking more and more likely. So it's good to be in the positive range as a state, knowing that one of their biggest issues up on the Hill right now, during the session that's going on, is we have excess money, and what are we going to do with it? So I think I personally prefer that situation than all of them meeting up on the Hill with the governor going, we don't have enough money. We're broke. And there's quite a few states that are in that situation where they're broke. So something else that just came out today, the U.S. inflation is the highest in 40 years. And they say there is no let up in sight. And on this channel, on these live question and answer sessions, all last year, I said inflation is real, inflation is increasing. The government said, no, it's transitory, it's temporary, whatever terminology they wanted to use. But I felt that inflation was increasing and would continue to increase. And I think they got a big shock today. Don't look at the stock market. The stock market took a huge dive today because of the news. It's not good. It's not good. And most Americans see it every day. You go to the grocery store. Every item in the grocery store has increased. Gasoline costs have increased. Just about everywhere you go. Phones, electric bills, gas bills, all are seeing increases. So we're really seeing it. But this particular article I thought was very interesting. So they have what they call the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. And that's at 7.5%. First of all, they're saying inflation has spiked to the highest level it's seen since the 1980s. And I personally hope we don't have to go back to some of the things we had in the 1980s, especially like interest rates. There's times when mortgages were 18%, 20%. So, but the CPI index, 7.5%. But what's remarkable is some items that are higher than that. So used cars and trucks, 40% increase. Hotels, 20.5% increase. Maybe they're trying to make up some of the money that they lost during the pandemic when hotels were almost bankrupt. Furniture and bedding, 17%. Beef and veal, 16%. And that probably correlates to why you see a lot of fast food prices increasing. A lot of beef is served in a lot of fast food restaurants. Electricity, 10.7%. And major appliances, 9.9%. And I was not shocked about that because I talked to a local supplier who sells washing machines, and we had a conversation about a month ago, and he said that prices have just been going up and up and up for dishwashers, washers, dryers, refrigerators, anything that he was purchasing. So I did expect that. And also the used cars too, because there's no new cars. So if you're in an accident, your car gets totaled, you have to buy a car, go to the dealership, try to buy a new one. Dealership lots are empty. So some people are having to just find a used car, and that has driven up the prices of used cars to, it's in some cases, the same price as what a new car would have costed. So any questions this evening? It's going to be a quiet evening, maybe. Maybe everybody's heading to LA for the Super Bowl. So anybody got any picks on the Super Bowl? I personally do not have any choices for the Super Bowl this year. I guess I'm not a fan really of either team, but I really enjoyed the Kansas City Buffalo game that was on during the playoffs. And that's the Super Bowl I want to see. I want to see the Rams and the Bengals going at it the whole game and the whole fourth quarter and coming down to last minute heroics. So that's the game that I want to see. If you're a fan of the Rams and the Bengals, you probably do not want to see that game, but that is what I'm looking forward to. And I'm also looking forward to the halftime show. They keep talking about it. Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, it's being so secretive that I've heard that at the stadium, they are blasting music outside the stadium so you can't hear what is going on inside the stadium while they're rehearsing their halftime show. So interesting. Utah is full of ugly people that are out of pocket, disrespectful pedophiles. Well, I would probably disagree with that statement, but I guess everybody is welcome to their opinion. I would disagree that everybody is ugly in the state of Utah. And same with the pedophiles. All right. I don't watch sports unless it's motorsports and not NASCAR. I'll tolerate baseball. Cool. So when it comes to motorsports, what's your main game, I guess? I'm also a motorsport fan, and I really enjoy the MotoGP motorcycle racing. It's held around the world. And so that's probably one of my favorite. I watch every race, and they race in many countries, including the United States, Great Britain, Germany, Saudi Arabia, all over. So I love the MotoGP series. But yes, not a NASCAR fan. Is the Utah real estate market in a bubble? That's a tough question. Possibly. The whole country might be in a bubble. The stock market might be in a bubble. It's very, very hard to predict. It's very hard to predict. I can tell you right now that it's crazy. It's really crazy. We went from a super hot market to probably a hot market back to a super hot market. The last month, 2 months is normally the winter months. It slows down. Less people looking at homes, et cetera, mostly due to the weather and Christmas. But with interest rates that have risen over the last couple months, more people are getting into the market. Not too sure when the Fed is meeting again. I heard they were meeting sometime in February. I don't know the exact date, but if they do raise interest rates, I think the market is going to just continue an upward climb as people try to lock in these historically low rates. But if the rates continue climbing, I definitely think we'll see some leveling off. So, and it depends how high they climb. We're still historic low levels. If you ask somebody 10 years ago if they would like a 5% mortgage rate, they would have jumped all over that. They would have been yes. So, we're below 4% right now. We're probably about 3.8, 3.7, depend on what it is, but we're still below 4%, which is still historically low. So, but, it's possible, might be a bubble. I personally feel, and I can only go with history. I can only go with what's happened in history, really. And I can tell you during the last crash, 08, 09, and that was more of a financial crash. The market in Utah probably only dropped about 10%, maybe 12%, 15%, depending on where you're at. And I'm talking about northern Utah. Now, southern Utah, they got hit hard, 40% drop, maybe larger in some areas. And part of the reason with St. George was there was a lot of people who had vacation homes in the St. George area. So they would live in northern Utah or maybe in a northern state or somewhere else, and use that for say the winter months. So when times were tough, they figured, well, we'll get rid of that vacation home we had. So Utah really didn't take a huge dive like some other areas in the country. I could think of Las Vegas and Phoenix that lost half their value. And part of the reasoning I believe that is because of the jobs and the job growth. People still could purchase. So if prices go down, there's a lot of new job creations going on, and people need housing. So I think people will still be in the market buying, maybe not in the volume that is being done right now. But if there is a correction, I think Utah will bounce back out of it within a couple of years. That's how quick we bounced last time. Maybe 2 to 3 years, prices were back up. So didn't take us long at all to rebound. But it's hard to predict bubbles is the stock market in a bubble? Possibly. And there's different opinions too on the stock market. I listened to a guy that said that there's a lot of people thinking that the stock market is just gonna falter. But I listened to a guy that said that if the market does come down, the stock market comes down, it'll probably be like it happened during the pandemic. It will bounce back within 6-7 months. There is so much money being dumped into 401ks, IRAs, into the market these days. That money will continue filtering in. As long as people have jobs, they're still going to be pumping money into the market. So it'll help stabilize it a little bit. And that was his opinion, and he studies the whole market. So do you have any recommendations or tips for getting a 1-bedroom apartment around Ogden? It seems like there are a lot of new developments in the area, but they're pretty expensive. I don't know when you're looking, but my property manager, I got a unit we just got done. He is supposed to market that for me here. Literally, I just sent him a text about it like 2 days ago. So, but I would say you just have to keep looking and be aggressive. And some areas, I'm not too sure where you're looking at right now, or if you're in the state of Utah, or you're located right now in another state. But I would say my number one go-to place would be KSL.com. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with that website or not. It's a local news station. It has a large classified section used by most people in the state of Utah. It's bigger than Craigslist. Most people in Utah do not use Craigslist. They use KSL.com. So I would try there, because every property manager I know puts their properties on KSL.com. It's free to list. So if you need to sell a refrigerator or buy a car or whatever, you can list an item on KSL for free, literally free. So nearly every property manager, they shoot it right to KSL. There's no cost. So I would look on KSL. The other place to look would be the Facebook groups. There's a million of them. Like Utah Homes, Utah Rental Homes. There's quite a few I can't really think of. Then you have the local community groups, and I actually run one of them called Ogden, Utah Community, and I see ads for apartments pop up on there from time to time also. So keep a lookout in some of those groups, and KSL.com will probably be the biggest. So, but yeah, there is a lot of new construction. There has been a lot of new construction throughout the whole state of Utah, and your new builds are going to be your most expensive. It's also probably some of the nicest because they're brand new. But the people who are building these buildings have to get a return on their money. So they're asking top dollar. And also what's popular too, I don't know if you're interested, but in Utah, some people rent out their basements. Like right now, I film this in my basement. I could technically rent this out. I actually have a kitchen over here, and this is a dining area, and I've got bedrooms and washer dryer. It's actually set up for that if I ever wanted to. But you could find those opportunities too, which is in most cases that I see them listed. It includes the utilities, usually your gas, because a lot of homeowners don't have a way to separate the utilities, so they usually will include it in the rental price. So that could sometimes be a savings. Rally Off-Road, Australian V8 Supercar Series. I drive a Subaru STI, big Subaru enthusiast. Can't wait to go to Utah Motorsports Campus when we move. Yes, that has changed a lot out there. I haven't been out that way. Larry Miller originally built that track, and then it was sold after he passed away. His family sold the track. Yeah. Hi, new here. I have 3 kids. Where's good schools in Utah? I have been looking at Provo and Payson as possibilities for me and the family. That's a good question. And when I look at a broader picture, when we look at some of the best counties for school districts, that would be Davis County and that would be Summit County. So Davis County is north of Salt Lake City, probably North Salt Lake up to the military base, Layton, Utah. And then Summit County, which is the Park City area, Park City, Deer Valley. They normally rate very, very high as the best county for schools. Now, that does not mean that Weber County, Salt Lake County, Utah County has poor schools, because there are pockets of areas in those counties that their schools rate really high. So, yeah, it can bounce around a little bit. I did a video. Did you catch the video, the school video I did probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago? That is one that would be good. But there are areas throughout the state that are good. But if you're looking county-wide, you'd be Davis County and Summit County are the 2 that usually get some of the highest ratings. But there are areas in most counties where the schools rate fairly well. And it's also in Utah, we have a lot of charter schools. So can also consider the charter schools also as an option also. Great. Any more questions this evening? Appreciate those. Be a quiet night tonight. Are there any good aviation programs in Salt Lake City area? Thanks. Stay home. So what comes to mind, aviation. Now, I guess we would have to define aviation a little bit better, but if you are looking for an aviation college that has a specialty in aviation, Utah State University up in Logan, Utah. If you are looking for a flight school, there are flight schools, I believe, probably at all the airports. So the Provo Airport, the Salt Lake Airport, and the Ogden Airport would have flight schools. But I know that Utah State University has an aviation program. What's involved, I'm not too sure exactly. About the most I know about is when I've gone to an air show at Hill Air Force Base. They always have a booth there with an airplane and representing Utah State University there. So that's about the most that I know about that program. I will go and look for that. Thank you. You're welcome. All right. Any more questions this evening before I call an evening? Well, I appreciate all the questions. I hope everybody has a great week and enjoys the Super Bowl. I personally am going to try to go snowmobiling and get back for the game. So I want to get out on the snowmobile one more time. I haven't been I haven't been snowmobiling much this year, so I'm trying to get out. Thanks so much. I want to move to Utah from Colorado for college. Okay. Look into Utah State University. They have some kind of aviation program there. I've seen it advertised, and I've seen booths like at the air shows and stuff. So I don't know exactly what it all involves. If it's an associate degree or if it's a bachelor's degree. Not 100% certain, but Utah State University. You're the best. Thanks for helping. You're welcome anytime. That's what I'm here. I love the state of Utah. I love where I live. I think it's let's just say I think it's a great place to live. I don't think I ever say it's the greatest place ever to live because, I haven't lived everywhere. So I've visited a few places, but I think it's a great place in the country. A lot of great things going for it. So thanks for the advice. Never heard of KSL, but we'll check that out. Have a great rest of the day. You're welcome. Yeah. So KSL.com. So it's a little bit tricky when you first go on the website because it's a news channel. They also have a news station here in Utah, Channel 5, KSL. So when you first go on, it's full of news events, but you have to hit up there in the right corner, say classifieds, I think jobs and homes, something like that. But the classified section is used enormously. They have categories for everything. If you want to buy concert tickets, sell concert tickets, you name it, it's on there, and it's free to list, free to sell. If you want to sell a car, you want to buy a car, and it has now spread. You start seeing ads now from people in Idaho and Wyoming. They are now hooking onto that particular. And I could tell you a story. My father-in-law, he's an Idaho farmer. So when he retired, he was selling some of his equipment. He had a newer combine and he wanted some help selling it. So I said to him, well, I'll advertise it down here in Utah on KSL because it's free. I'll come up, take some pictures, put it here, and then I'll refer the calls to you. I got a call from somebody in Idaho that wanted to purchase that, and they literally lived like 30 miles away from where the combine was located, and they were searching KSL for a combine. So that's the reach that it has. Is it warmer there in the winter than Denver, would you say? Not too sure. My brother lives in Denver. He lives in Aurora. Their winter this year has seen a lot more snow than we have. I know that this year. I don't know if you could say that. It's hard to say. It really depends where the weather fronts come from and where they're going, because I've seen previous years where it's come down out of Alaska and come blasting down, and it hits Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, and Colorado. I've seen it come from the West Coast across, and it comes straight across Nevada, Utah, and then Colorado. But I've also seen weather fronts that miss Utah and go straight over Colorado, and it just keeps doing that pattern. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Subscribe. You're welcome. I was actually earlier, that was kind of a joke for somebody who we've been talking on the phone. He said he wasn't a subscriber, but he always calls me on the phone and everything like that. And so every time I talk to him, I ask him if he's subscribed. So why weren't you on last week? Are you only on every other week now? No, weekly, but last week, and I've missed about 3 weeks periodically. Last week, I had to go to city council meeting. I'm doing a commercial project. I bought the property back last May, so I've been trying to get it approved through planning and zoning and city council. And unfortunately, the only nights they meet is once a month on a Thursday evening. So I had city council last week, and now my project has been approved. So there will be no more city council meetings that I know of. But to give you an idea, if you ever consider doing any kind of commercial development or residential development, time wise, I mean, I bought the property in May. I now have city council approval in February. It's between getting plans done up and meetings and getting it passed through planning and zoning and then getting it passed through city council. And my January meeting with city council, it did not get approved. I had to go back to the drawing board, make corrections, and went back February the 3rd. So that's where I have been. But I plan on being every week. So just the council meetings, for some reason, they're always on a Thursday. But yeah, yep, not my intention. But moving on, and now we've got the task of meeting with contractors and try to get something established. Projects like this, they take a while. They take a while. So I mean, I'm almost 1 year coming in just getting approval. Utah's known for some of the best paragliding in the country. Yeah, you are correct. Yes. Very popular. Yeah, very, very popular. It's not something I've ever done. Not at all. But I'm not one for heights. So I don't skydive. I don't paraglide. I don't rock climb. But yes, that sport is here in Utah. Glad you're approved. Planning and zoning is difficult to deal with. I had to deal with them in Rayton, Missouri. Yes, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. You're not only trying to come with an agreement with planning and zoning and with the city council, but you're also trying to come up with agreement with local citizens that may not want your project or may want changes, et cetera, et cetera. So you battle things from two fronts. Does Utah have any tax breaks on farming or programs to help new farmers? I really don't know that aspect of it. My father-in-law is an Idaho farmer. I can tell you in Idaho, they probably don't help out a whole lot. But I'm not too sure in the state of Utah. So, yeah, farming is tough. Farming is tough. I don't want to sound like a downer or however you want to take it, but I don't like the current movement with farmland across the country. I don't know if you're aware, but farmland is being bought up monthly, weekly by some of the biggest billionaires around the world. Bill Gates is buying up everything he can. There's investors from China, Saudi Arabia, you name it. People with billions of dollars are buying up farmland all over the United States. And is that to be a farmer? I don't think so. Do you think Bill Gates wants to be a farmer? I don't think he wants to be a farmer. My take on it is, and this is just my personal opinion, what they're trying to do is basically get in the food business by controlling food prices at the ground level. And I really do mean the ground level. With them buying more and more farms, the people who would like to farm them are going to be at the mercy of possibly constant rent increases, because instead of owning the land to farm, how it's been done for generations, of course, there's a lot of farmers now, at least a lot of ground. The equipment's so much better now, so you can do more. But I think we will become possibly a nation where the farmers lease majority of their ground, and will have to pay rents and increasing rent prices by some of the billionaires around the world that own the land. I can't see no other reason why somebody like Bill Gates and China and some of these other uh, billionaires all around the country are buying up farmland as quick as they can. I personally can't see any other reason why they're doing it except to control food prices. And by dictating what the rents are on land, they can basically control food prices right up the food chain. So that's my, don't mean to be like a downer on the farming, but I really do worry about it. I really worry about the future on food prices because it affects lower income people and medium income people the most. So yes, that's why we need to keep the land in the hands of the people. Yes, yes. I mean, I totally agree, and I see these purchases being made. When I visit to relatives up in Idaho, I pick up the local farming papers, and I read right through them. And you read about all these people that are buying this land, and some of the people I haven't heard about, but the article says billionaire that made money in the pharmaceutical industry or banking or something else, and I'm like, well, why do they want farmland? Yeah. Vegans are responsible for global warming. Who eats celery? It's just water with hair in it. Okay. I'm actually a celery fan. I like celery. But that's my take on farming. Um, it's a challenge because we have a challenge ahead of us. My wife's side of the family owns farm ground, and they homesteaded the land, and then my father-in-law bought other ground, and it is his wish that it continues as farmland. And he had all daughters, and the daughters did not take an interest in the farming. But we have always promised to him we would always farm the land. So right now it's rented out. It's in a good situation, but I don't know if you can say that about all the farmland that's up in Idaho or many other states. What's going to happen? So, okay. Well, any more questions before I call it an evening here? About 40 minutes this evening. But if you do want a good investment, farmland is a great investment to rent out. I love the whole farmland rental aspect as an investment. We just bought property in Apple Valley. What's it like living there? Well, I'm not familiar with the area. It's not an area that I get any calls for or have personally been there. So I really don't. That's an area that you have me stumped on that there. So you'll have to let me know what it turns out to be like. So, and then I can relay that information if somebody asks me in the future, though. But yeah, give it a shot. Let me see if we can show some people. If we can pull it up on the map. So if anybody is curious about Apple Valley, you're down here. You are east of St. George, Utah. I would. I don't know if I had to say like pros and cons. I think pros would be if you like the small town living and living in a small town. That's the pros. I go for some people. The cons would be you're not right around the corner to amenities. You probably have to drive into St. George, but some people like that. They don't mind the commute to go into a big city, et cetera, et cetera. but some people also like to be 5 to 10 minutes away. So, but yeah, it's not an area that I've been to. I like you a lot now. I like the way you respond to my question. Well, and I don't know how to take that 100%, but it's probably, but I try to be honest. I mean, I'm a no BS guy. I tell it how it is, whether it's good or bad. So I once learned the meaning of life, but forgot to write it down. Ah, good one. Okay. Appreciate all the questions, and I appreciate everybody who joined. And um, you're welcome. So, if you decide to go to Utah State University to their aviation program, I would love to have some feedback on it. What you find out or what you learn, et cetera, et cetera. I'll pass it on to other people. I don't personally know anybody who has, I know people have attended Utah State University, and it's a great university, but I don't know anybody who has been in the aviation program there. So I don't know if you have any kind of interest in veterinarian work also, but they do have a veterinarian program there. I believe they do the first 2 years, and then you can apply to University of Washington State, to finish up your veterinarian program. So they're very popular for that. So yeah, let me know how Apple Valley is and how it works out. It's pretty much, rural living, country living, and but I mean the good thing is you got St. George, Utah there, which is grown by leaps and bounds. St. George has everything you would need, whether you're looking at hospitals or grocery stores or furniture or doctors or accountants. I mean, car dealerships. I mean, they've got it all there in St. George. So you're not, too far away that you'd have to come to Salt Lake City or something like that for anything. So maybe like specialty care. If you had some kind of specialty care, you may have to go to Salt Lake City, or specialty surgery like I had. University of Utah was the only people that did my surgery. So you'd have to come up to Salt Lake City or maybe Las Vegas. I'm not too sure what the hospitals have to offer down there, but it's a great area for. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, yes, yeah, off-roading 100%. That's UTV country, 100%. Yeah, I'm a UTV owner. Love UTVs. All of southern Utah, great riding. You will not run out of areas to go if you have a dirt bike or a UTV. You will not run out of areas. No, not at all. So, and the nice thing too is during the summer months when they have their 110, 115 degree days, it's hot to go riding, but you could always head north. Temperatures, further you go north, the temperature will decrease, and you can ride and do some mountain riding or go out to Little Sahara Desert or something like that. So you have opportunities even during the boiling hot summer to go riding somewhere else. So yeah. UTV in Utah is very, very popular. People come from all over the country to come ride in Utah. So if you do own a UTV, there is a great Facebook group called UTV Utah. So if you want to learn some stuff, meet up with other people, etc., great group there. And if you don't own a UTV, don't blame me if you end up overspending. It is a very expensive hobby. So don't give me the blame for that one. Yeah, I can't believe the cost. I was a dirt bike guy years ago, and then I went to an ATV, and I still can't believe the cost of these UTVs. The new Polaris Pro Rs, I was looking at those. You can get a 4-seat one loaded at $55,000. You can go on their website. It's crazy. Even the 2-seaters are 35,000. So start loading that up to over $40,000. I can't believe what it costs. I used to ride dirt bikes years ago and pay $500 for the dirt bike, and that was something that was only maybe 3, 4, 5 years old because brand new. They were $3,000. So that's crazy. Okay, I'm going to call an evening, and have a good weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl.